So basically, Tishala is a teacher, guys.
Yes.
Just in case you missed that one.
Yes.
But I'm really excited to have you do this feature with us. Like I say, you have earned your caps to be sitting on that chair. So I'm literally just another student. Treat me as another student at
Good.
Gibbs. So, oh man, let's start here. I believe today we are on leadership once again.
Yeah.
Value based leadership is about leading with integrity and purpose, but it's often misunderstood.
Yeah.
Can you kindly briefly define what values based leadership is?
Lovely. Oh, and I just realized there's a second part of your question I didn't answer, which
Yes,
is
please.
what will we be bringing every week on this show? And what we aim to do is to cover a broad range of leadership topics in a manner that is easily digestible, and we're going to have a very simple conversation. And hopefully, in each of these episodes, we will sort of get into some of the latest thinking on how you can lead better and how you might just make one improvement in how you lead yourself, others,
Yeah.
and perhaps how you lead organizations. So today,
You know what I'm loving? You just said how you lead yourself
yeah,
and others. In
yeah.
other words, it just does not begin with people, it has to start with self.
And to a very large extent, the leadership job is that of leading oneself. Before we get into, so I teach strategy there at Gibbs as one of the modules I teach. Before we get into like the overall company strategies and finance and all of that stuff, the biggest task of leadership is self-leadership. And it's going to be reflected in today's conversation as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think if you can answer my first question, actually.
Yeah.
Let's get this going.
All right, let's get this going. So, and the simplest way without jargon is to sort of say when people sort of lead others, to a large extent, there are many people that are led based on numbers and targets, you know. You must deliver X amount. And we make sometimes decisions largely based on short-term sort of targets and numbers and what we want to achieve. But on the other end, so values-based leadership, it's sort of this approach to leadership that's guided by deeply held values rather than sort of short-term and external pressures and all sort of pressures from the boss, if it were. It prioritizes ethical decision making, integrity, alignment between personal and organizational values. And it's yes, you still deliver and you bring the performance, but it's largely anchored on purpose. And why this is important, especially for those leaders that are Christian, there is an expectation that you sort of leave out and you lead, you know, and kind of bring up the Christian values in how you lead. I have seen, because I've been in this work for a while, I've seen even Christian institutions that are toxic, that people can't even bear sort of working there, and they just work there largely because they have to earn an income.
Yeah.
And very easily, instead of not judging the leaders in those organizations, you find that very easily the values, the love for the people, all of those things starts to erode away in pursuit of numbers and performance and targets and
Yeah.
donor-funded, preset targets and objectives. And
Yeah.
you are in an institution led by a prayerful leader, and yet they don't demonstrate those values as they lead you.
Sure. That's quite challenging, I must say. As you say, I can imagine one saying, and I really pray and hope that it will get us to a point where, as Christian leaders as well, we introspect when we have these conversations and say, I'm a Christian leader. I might be leading a really thriving business, but how are my leadership skills?
Yes.
Am I leading well?
And more so, how are my leadership values
Values.
and purpose? And is that love coming across? Otherwise, we are the same, right? And
Sure.
and to a large extent, we almost view the places we work as marketplace, and we are there to minister in how we lead and how we conduct ourselves daily, such that those that perhaps are not in the Christian faith might say, you know what, there is something about the way Lukho leads. I wonder what drives that. And before you know it, you have the opportunity to share the love of Christ with your colleagues.
Wow. Now, at the core of values based leadership are four key principles, you say, which
Yes.
is self reflection, balance, true self confidence, and genuine humility. Can you give us an overview of these four principles before we actually explore them in more detail?
Right. So, as you said, we're not just plucking these things off air. These conversations will be grounded on literature as well. So these come from a fantastic book called "Becoming the Best" by Professor Harry Kramer. And he outlines four key principles. The first one is self-reflection, which is this ability to critically assess one's own values, motivations, and decisions to make sure that they align with their long-term purpose. And just so that we have our listeners with us, today we're going to spend the rest of our time on just this one.
All right.
This ability to, one, understand your own values, the key motivations, your strengths, your drivers, and even to a large extent, if time allows, when this feature is finished, you might be able to walk away with a purpose statement of your own. We'll give you a template at the very least and sort of help you do that. So the first piece is just that self-reflection, self-awareness, and kind of self-alignment, if it were. The second one is this balance, which is about seeing situations from multiple perspectives. And especially when you're about to make decisions. The challenge with leadership sometimes is that we might be so convinced about how we think about the world and what the true north is, and shut out the voices, especially
Sure.
softer voices in the room. You often find in a room there's 2 or 3 extroverts that
Yep.
kind of just hogs the meeting.
True.
And then there is valuable content from those that might be softer voices. And the idea of balance is, being able to step back, kind of see the situations from multiple perspectives, and ultimately the decisions that come from there, hopefully they're better. And the third and the fourth, true self-confidence, which comes from self-awareness, knowing both your strength and your weakness. This one, we're going to do a whole new kind of talk on that because there's a spectrum, right? From like the conversation we had last week, where they hugely imposter syndrome, where there isn't a lot of confidence, and there's like overconfidence,
Yes.
which is associated with pride and
And
arrogance.
arrogance.
But what we're talking about here is a balanced kind of view of saying, I bring this to the table. I learn this way because I'm still growing in this. So that's self-true confidence. Then the fourth one, which is my absolute favorite, is genuine humility. Which is sort of respecting others, valuing contributions at all levels. And I think most people know, and those that have been led by someone who is genuinely humble can attest to the fact that it's such a beautiful thing to work with a colleague like that.
To be led by a humble person, I think, is top tier.
It is.
Absolutely top tier.
It absolutely is.
Dr. Manda, I think let's just grab a glass of water and
think so
be
too.
right back. I
Awesome.
must say, I'm really, really happy with one thing. You're all learned on this, but you're bringing it to our level. And that's what we need right now. Because, quite honestly, we might hear all this jargon and still leave not having understood what you're saying. So, definitely, you're on the right track. Let's grab a glass of water. We'll be right back.
Yes,
Have
please.
you been asking God, what can I do? Here's your opportunity. Help us to continue.
listening to us right now, if I was to ask, hey, can you kind of tell me what your purpose is? I think most of us kind of get a sense that, yeah, I mean, a purpose is an important thing. It's your big why. It's sort of your leadership compass. But if we settle down the noise and say, tell me, what is your purpose? I wonder how many people can pull out a piece of paper and say, here's my purpose statement.
I think actually we get irritated and annoyed by the question to begin with, because you're like, hey, Bo, is that how our conversation's supposed to start and end?
Yes.
But I'm going to be honest. If
Yeah.
you asked me what my purpose is,
Yeah.
I think I'd be all over the place.
Yeah.
I was talking to my counselor a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things we were really focusing on were things I had spoken about at the start of our sessions last year.
Yeah.
Of things I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And she was just saying how I have actually managed to achieve a lot of those.
Lovely.
But be that as it may, don't be rude now. but be that as it may, I'd probably still get a bit confused. And I think also primarily because we always want to have the correct answer when
Yes.
one asks such
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. And
So I don't know what I don't know how to answer that. It's gonna start with me and being honest.
okay,
I don't
so-
know how to answer that.
And then I think let's just kind of work through this, and
Yes,
then hopefully
please.
by the end of our time together, we have some version. We have a first draft of your purpose
Yes,
statement, if
please.
it were. And the reason why I think this matters, we are coming towards the end of first quarter of this year. Can you believe it? And people usually start off saying, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, the what to do, and this is how I'm going to do it.
The resolutions.
Yeah, the resolutions, but the deep-seated why you want to do those things, if that's not clear, it's very easy for those resolutions to fall off by week 3, week 4, week 5. So Simon Sinek wrote a book, say start with why, and what we're trying to do here is to help our listeners to really think about their why, and we will structure this according to. There's many scholars on purpose, but the easiest one to work with is by Kristen Whelan. And she defines purpose as, here we go, using your strength to live in keeping with your values and positively impacting the lives of others. So that's at a high level, a definition, it probably doesn't matter much. But what matters is the following. There are 5 components for us to fully unpack what your purpose statement is. The first one is unpacking your unique values. Dare I say your core values, which we'll walk through now. Unpacking your strength, which will help you work through that. And sort of figuring out being super clear on the community that you serve.
Okay.
And the commitments you want to make to that community. And the last one, and the fears that you will have to go through to be able to do what you need to do. So we're going to unpack values, strengths, community, commitments, and fears. When that is said and done, here is your purpose statement, Lukho. So
Okay.
we're going to write it like this. Because I value, and then we're going to put in brackets 2 or 3 of your core values. I will use my gifts. We will put 2, 3, 4 of your gifts to make a positive impact in this community, in young girls, in within Pretoria or however your community is set up. And I accept my fears of, fear of failing. The last time we spoke about my other fears. While
Fear of being put in the pedestal.
fear of being put in the pedestal.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of that sentence is while making a purpose-based commitment to do the following. So let me just read it easily. Because I value X, I will use my gifts of Y to make a positive impact to a Z community, and I accept my fears of A, B, C, and I make a purpose-based commitment to do 1, 2, 3. So if we can capture that as like a raw, rudimentary purpose statement, we can then sort of fine-tune it, and we can put a music around it. We can do all sorts of things, and we can essentially have a purpose statement that when I say, look, what's your purpose? You're like, here.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. All right. So personal values play a key role in shaping leadership decisions. Can they be categorized, and how do they guide a leader's choice?
very simply. So to a large extent, values are, are what guides our decision making and our conduct.
True.
And sometimes, or in most cases, they do this sometimes without even us being aware what are some of those values guiding us below the surface. So to categorize them, Patrick Lencioni has done this beautifully. He sort of breaks them down into three types of values. One is permission to play values. These are sort of like basic ethical standards like honesty, integrity, etc., etc. You almost want to think of them as sort of the Ten Commandments type stuff. Don't lie, don't do
Your
this.
mind is so quick. How did you even get to that? I'm looking at you because that's not even written on your notes. But from me, you're like, yeah, I know what it sounds like.
And oftentimes when I ask people, and we slow down the music and say, what are your values? After a bit of mumbling is integrity, being ethical, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are sort of, be a normal human being, be a decent person, and those are permission to play values. So when I coach people and their values are at the permission to play level, there's a good chance that they haven't done the work to really unearth their values. So the second type, which really this needs a bit of work, these are what we call core values. That's core to Lukho. And these are sort of deeply held to you individually. If I describe 4 or 5 of them, and then someone might go, "Are you talking about Lukho?" I think that's sort of
They kind of identify with me.
they sort of identify with you. I'll give you a quick example. And the core values, right? They help you navigate dilemma moments. So the reason why the permission to play values are okay is they don't quite help you. Don't steal. You're not trying to balance one decision over the other.
Yes.
It's just okay. We don't steal.
That's it.
Finish it, clear. But I don't know. You were telling me about your beautiful twins.
Yes.
So when they grow to, I don't know, primary school, and in some of these schools, they've got these wonderful emails they send you. They will say, "Lukho, there is a daughter's mother picnic at 11:30."
Okay.
Right. And then at 11:30, you're also presenting at work or potentially have a show to run. Now, where do you go at 11:30?
Work. I'm being honest, guys. I'd probably choose to go to work and send my sister or someone to go to the picnic.
Yes, and that's a beautiful decision. Someone else might choose to go to the picnic and ask a colleague to step in for them.
Okay.
So both decisions are right. The difference is what's core, like for you. Your core. If your core value at the top end was family, comes first,
Then even work would know, but I'm not making it.
I'm
My
not
kids
coming.
first.
So core values help you navigate dilemma moments. So and they are running, they're like an operating system.
They're almost at conflict with something else that is just as important.
Yes. And so now let's say your value was family first, but then you choose to go to work. Deep down, there's a bit of something is being scratched, and you kind of go, I don't quite like this place,
Yeah.
and they can have all the wonderful things, but it's just rubbing against an internally strongly held core value of family comes first, and they don't, I don't know, maybe allow you to go to the picnic. So both those things are true, but it's important for you to say, all right, hi, my name is Lukho. My core value is work first. No.
I can explain. It's fine.
No, okay. So and here's the assignment. Is for our listeners and ourselves to really do some deep reflection and thinking about what is truly core to me. So I'll tell you one example for me. So I I hold this value of continuous learning, and I have I don't know, more than 12 post-matric qualifications, including the doctorate, and I got
When you spoke about chemical engineering, and
no,
then I was like, this guy.
I got way too many. And if someone asks me, yeah, how do you succeed? I might say, learn some more, go to get more degrees. But it's
Your core
it's one of
value.
my core values. And what I found in my earlier years, I used to job hop a lot.
Okay.
Largely because, I get there and then I figure out how things work here, and then I get bored. And
Oh.
I've always,
And your qualifications were just opening doors for you. So it was like, hey, I can leave and go to the next.
but also like the place just starts to, doesn't matter how good it is.
It would bore you
If
at
I'm
some
not,
point because
if
you've
I'm not
reached your
learning,
pinnacle.
if I'm not learning,
Oh.
yes, then something doesn't work. One of my core values is sort of it's acting courageously. So I say yes to this interview, even though anything can go wrong, right?
Exactly.
But then I stop and I go, if courage is my value, do I say yes or no to these opportunities to do this live? And if I, we're gonna spend more time, so you will hear
Yes.
some of the stories, but what matters for us here is, do have our listeners and ourselves here worked out those 3-4 core values that are critical, and then I can lift it. Okay, if I lift it to the company, it's gonna take long. The last one is what we call aspirational values. These are 1 or 2 values that they're not quite yet you or me, but I would love to be someone that shows up on time. But it's still a work in
Oh
progress.
my word. Sorry to cut you there, Dr. Manda. But do you know how I got being on time right?
Yeah.
Now, if you asked anybody that knows me, they'd tell you I'm the worst when it comes to time.
Right.
But the day I committed to being extremely early when I didn't even need to,
Yeah.
that's the day I became early. So, for instance, I'm in
Right.
here at 4 o'clock. So
Sure.
I then made a decision that I would never get to, I'd try my best not to get to work at 3:30.
Right.
I can even get, when it's a normal day and I don't have any other stuff to do,
Yeah.
I rush for 3 o'clock. I convince my mind I go in at 3 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
And that has saved me for the past year, actually. It saved me from so much.
Sure.
From missing flights.
Sure.
From that helped me to say, lie to yourself about time.
Sure.
And it works.
I've missed a number of flights. I'm one of those guys running
Same
through
here.
the airport.
Same here.
This week, we had an event, and we were talking to one of the colleagues, and then she was saying, no, that person, I'm surprised they're not here yet, because they are literally known for being on time. So I think it's going to be one of my aspirational values.
it works.
To
It
be
works.
to be a more timely
The
person.
last time I missed a flight, I called my mom because she would usually be the first person I'd call, and or I'd ask for extra money just to get that standby flight. And the last time she said to me, "Mntana musile." In other words, I don't know how to say it in English. You're not silly, but basically,
usile.
but like you're naughty.
Sure.
You're naughty.
Sure.
This is become a habit,
It
and I'm
needs to
never
be-
going to entertain it again.
Sure.
That's the last time I missed a flight. Never ever again.
So now one of your aspirational values, I guess, it's building into being you.
Yes.
Yeah. So now to
yes.
summarize, so values can be split into 3: permission to play values,
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 ethics, the 10 commandments stuff, and then 2, doing deep work to reflect on how you've made decisions and how you've balanced dilemmas over the years.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know that and codify that, it will be great. And the third one is 1 or 2 aspirational. And the other way to look at values, right, is 4 ways. One is personal values that guides your conduct, social values that sort of guides, how you engage with people around you, those values that spur you into action, and sort of the values on how you sort of treat physical things that you have. So my encouragement here is, these are operating models that are running underneath the current. They are driving us. Sometimes you work with a colleague, or you just meet someone, and you just like, something is just not on.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that in your engagement with them, they're rubbing off a value that you hold so dearly, but you probably are not even aware of. So some of the conflicts you have with people might largely be driven by the things that are happening underneath that perhaps you may want to take some time to figure out and codify. And you say, hey, my name is Manda Tshifularo. These are my 5 core values. If these work for you, you and I can engage.
You and I can click.
Yes.
If not, we might just have a problem.
Yes. And even for for employers, you kind of go, hey, here's my core values. If these don't work, we won't
don't
last.
work.
It's never going to
We
work.
won't work. Dr. Manda, thank you so much. Thank you. We have run out of time, but not really, because next week is still good time.
Awesome.
I think it's very important, and I'm never going to leave this out, because you are, of course, a leadership coach and many other things. Many other things. I think it's very important for us to always direct Ready Pulpit family, be at your website, be at your... It's very, very important, because I never want anybody else to miss out on such insightful information. And one of the things I've also learned in recent times, very recent, is to say, in order for me to grow as a person, I need to also pursue that growth.
Yeah.
It's not going to come because I'm sitting and I'm listening to my radio.
Absolutely.
If I need more of this also,
Yeah.
and to be guided in this direction,
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out. I'm going to be a nuisance to Dr. Manda and get it. So how do we reach out to you?
Very simple. No, they can follow me, Manda Tshifularo, on all the sort of the social media pages, but or follow Superlead Advisory or superlead.co.za. And my email address, mandat@superlead.co.za.
Please spell that, Manda.
It's MAANDAT.
Huh?
It's Manda. It's M with 2 A's,
Yes.
and DA.
Oh, I thought I heard T at the end.
And a T for my surname.
Oh.
Manda T.
So I'm like,
At superlead.co.za.
I don't know Manda or Mandat. It's Manda T at superlead.co.za. Dr. Manda, thank you so much for your time. And you will also catch this, in case you only just caught it now, on our Facebook page as well. It's up and it's running right now. Really appreciate spending this... it's almost been an hour, actually.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Thank you so much. God bless. Until next week.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Pulpit on 657 AM for reliable Christian talk radio at its best.